Okay, so welcome to today's lesson. Today's January 20th, 2018. The time is 4 p.m. Today's session is going to cover the community of inquiry and specifically social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence. I want you to take some time to eliminate all distractions around you. Give me a green check once you have your phone turned off, any electronics put away, and you're in a quiet space so we can start the lesson for today. Okay, thank you. And for the quality check, hopefully you all completed the audio setup as you arrived in to the session today, and I see you guys all put your hands down. I want you to change your pointer to the green check mark and give me a green check if you see record in the top right corner. Okay, also give me a check mark if you can see quality check at the top of the screen. And last, give me a green check if you can hear me okay. Okay, so at the conclusion of this lesson, students will be able to explain the idea behind the community of inquiry, explain each of the three presents necessary for a successful community of inquiry, and explain how to use the Understanding by Design template to effectively develop an engaging course. So for the icebreaker, I would like you to go back to the pointer tool and select a different icon. And I want you to mark the location where you are currently. Hopefully you guys are all in Ohio. If not, check off the map so I know that you're not in Ohio currently. Can everybody do it again real quick? I see some disappear. Okay, so I see we have somebody in Columbus, somebody in the Kettering area. I'm actually currently in Cleveland. And the community of inquiry framework is used for the purpose of creating an educational experience that both monitors and manages meaningful learning through collaboration. This is something that's used in online classes because it creates that in-class environment, even though we may not all be in the same location. So I'm currently in Cleveland. I see we have somebody that's in Columbus, could even have somebody in Pittsburgh or DC. But once you establish that community of inquiry, you're able to eliminate that distance between you guys, and you guys are able to not only learn on your own, but help and influence each other's learning as well. Each of the three presidents, combine to create like the most optimal educational experience for learners. So it's a purposeful and guided activity in which the individuals are making meaning of factual information through the lens of their own experiences. So in online courses, what helps to make things more engaging is that you're allowing them to not only read and all learn the same information, but apply that information to their own learning specifically for their field, which a lot of times may or may not be shared, but opportunities for them to use their different experiences to make and develop their own meanings. The social presence is the ability of participants to identify with the group as real people through fostering a shared learning experience. So this isn't necessarily developing one-on-one relationships, but creating more of a team for the class rather than just being a group of students all working in different places. And in order to do this, there are three different categories that you want to have incorporated into your different lessons. They are effective communication, open communication, and cohesive responses. So effective communication is when all three are you want to establish a open and safe environment for everybody to talk to each other. So you don't want to create a situation where anybody ever feels attacked. And the three ways that you can do that are through the three examples I provided. So effective communication could be something as simple as an emoticon. So if you guys could give me One of the motor cons in the list. And then through open communication, you start to develop that feel of a group or team because you allow each other to pretty much voice their opinions, say the areas where they feel like they may be strong, the areas where they might need help, and the areas where they might be confused, and work together to solve whatever issues that they might be having. And that also goes into the cohesive responses, where you might develop a topic that you'll have maybe a group of four. One person is to kind of summarize the big ideas, maybe that topic, and you have the rest of the group members go through, say where they agree or disagree, and in the end come up with their own big idea or definition. Cognitive presence is the ability for learners to be able to construct and confirm meaning through sustained reflection and discourse within the online environment. This is done through the practical inquiry model, which is made up of 4 phases. This represents the relationship between reflection and discourse, while encouraging course design to collaboratively construct meaning and confirm understanding. So these are the 4 different steps that you're going to go through when developing your lesson in order to get the best outcome. The triggering phase is where you are going to work to develop a sense of puzzlement. So you're going to do something to really grab their attention. From there, in the exploration phase, you're going to provide them new information on not only what you introduce the topic with, but as it relates throughout the topic. And then in the integration phase, you're going to connect those ideas that you presented to them initially with things that might relate back to them as students, or in this case, as educators. And lastly, in resolution, you're going to have them actually go out and apply those new ideas into their everyday lives into an assignment. So I want you guys to go down to the polling list. Give me 1 second to update. And select which of the 4 phases of the practical inquiry model do you feel is the most important. Okay, and I see here that we have 1 for exploration, 2 for integration, and I myself chose none of the above. So can I have somebody who chose C, integration, explain why? Okay, you can go ahead, David.
Yeah, I just think that integration is kind of where the rubber meets the road. It's where we get to apply whatever knowledge that we've gleaned from the learning experience to our own experience outside the classroom.
Okay, can I have who chose B, explain why? Okay.
Yes, I actually like the idea of, here are the questions and formulating them and maybe coming up with different hypotheses that later on you're going to go ahead and utilize within your integration phase.
Okay, and I actually chose none of the above because I feel like they all kind of tie back hand to hand into developing that online experience that's going to give them the best experience and have them really take away a lot more from it than simply if you were to leave one out or only focus on one when presenting them with the information. The teaching presence is the ability of the instructor to design and facilitate a course to reach its intended outcomes with respect to the social and cognitive presences. So here is where you focus on the climate that you're going to be teaching in, as well as selecting the content that goes into it. Within the teaching presence, there are different educator roles, and the teaching presence is reflected in the efforts of the educator to create and maintain a dynamic, collaborative learning environment. through three specific roles, and that's design and organization, facilitating discourse, and direct instruction. When it comes to design and instruction, this is where you're going to actually start to formulate the different ways and ideas and different plans that you have in order to make the course interactive, so that you're making sure you're focusing on not just the information, but the opportunities for the students to not only interact with each other, but exchange information and different ideas from each other and connect the different ideas from the knowledge that they're gaining to the experiences that they have. Facilitating discourse still goes back to that design and organization idea. This is where you're going to create situations for them to challenge their own understandings amongst each other and ultimately come to the big idea. And lastly, direct instruction is really going to be those opportunities where you're asking them to maybe summarize a big idea or perform a case study on a certain topic. I think one of the best ways to achieve the idea of a community of inquiry is through the understanding by design method, which was developed by Jay McTeague and Grant Wiggins. And this backwards design model for creating courses or lessons. And understanding by design is a method of backwards design used to ensure transfer and understanding. This template is broken down to 3 steps with respect to the lessons, desired results, assessment evidence, and learning activities. Can anybody, or can all you guys go to the text chat and maybe see which presence you might find in which stage of the UBD template? So, for example, would you see social presence more in stage 1, 2, or 3, teaching presence in stage 1, 2, or 3, or in stage, or or teaching presence in stage 1, 2, or 3? So Heather, I see you say teaching in stage 1, cognitive in stage 2, and social in stage 3. Can you explain why you made those decisions?
Yeah, so I chose teaching presence for stage 1 because that's where you're setting everything up. That's what you're deciding to, it's your desired results. What are you planning on your students being able to learn? So that's got to be set up by the teacher. Stage 2 being cognitive, because that's how you're assessing your students. How are you going to know that they learned what you set up in stage 1? And then stage 3 is the learning activities, so that's got to be the social, because what are you going to do for your students to learn the information, and they obviously can work on that together.
Yeah, that's great. That's actually the same way that I staggered it as well. And you pretty much hit it right on the head. Stage 1 is where you're going to focus on what you as the instructor is focusing on for the end goal, which in turn you're going to pay respect to stage 2 and 3, which are cognitive and social, which are the actual evidence and the things that you're going to see in their learning, as well as the different activities that they're going to be doing within the lesson as well. So community of inquiry is where participants assume the roles of both teacher and learner while engaging in discourse with the specific purpose of facilitating inquiry, constructing meaning, and validating understanding. And the best way to do this is through intentional course design with respect to each presence and its different categories, which are key to ensuring the development of an engaging online environment. So like I said, that's why I chose the UBD template as something to keep in mind when you're aiming to achieve these 3 presents within a lesson, because it really forces you to sit and think about what you want them to learn, how you want them to learn, and the different ways that they're going to show you that they're actually picking up the information that you're giving to them. And in addition, within Within that, you want them also to be discussing it among themselves and creating their own understandings together. So for the assessment, and for those virtual learners who go back and watch this, I want you guys to pause this and write which ones are related. But I want you guys who are live to change the rectangle tool on the page to an ellipse to a circle, and change the color to reflect the different presidents, and circle the list of the categories on the right-hand side. So whichever category you feel like relates to the social presence, go ahead and circle that in red. Circle which ones relate back to the teaching presence in yellow, and which ones relate to the cognitive presence in green. Okay, give me a check mark when you guys are ready. Let me switch to the check mark, sorry. So these are the choices, the answers that I came up with. I see that you guys had a little bit of a disagreement. So did anybody want to say why they chose different options? Does anybody want to raise their hand, or does anybody have a question? Okay, David.
So yeah, I guess my comments on this would be I would have expected effective and affective communication being emotional communication, and open communication, cohesive responses. I would have put that under social presence, because that's part of the communication that happens in the social domain. I guess I could see how design and organization could be there, but I think I would have put teaching for the design, organization, facilitating, and directing instruction, and then I would have put cognitive presence under the triggering and exploration and integration. And I don't know. I'm not having an easy time mapping all the UBD phases to the different presences and elements.
Oh, these weren't like directly related back to the UBD template. These are more sort of categories that are listed in the book. But
yeah, my bad. I misspoke.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that. Actually, this slide is incorrect. I believe this might have been the old slide that I went back and redid. I didn't update it. I don't think it came in correctly. But yeah, what you were saying is correct. The social presence would be the effective open communication and cohesive responses. Teaching presence would be the design and organization, discourse, and direct instruction. And then the cognitive would be the 4 phases of the practical inquiry model. And then, as you can see, I use the book E-Learning in the 21st Century by Randy Garrison. And are there any questions or concerns?